Hey guys, and welcome back to Betwixt the Books. I promised back when I said that I was going to be doing videos that I would do some fanfiction videos because most of my reading for the last at least year, if not 2 years, has been fanfiction. And that was one of the main reasons that I wasn't making content here on the channel, was that I wasn't sure how to do fanfiction content because I can't do a traditional review of a fanfiction in the same way that I can for a book, or at least it doesn't feel ethical to do that. I don't feel like I can rate a fanfiction because it's free content that's posted online by a fan. It is not professionally edited. They don't make money on it. Being able to critique a book, which is a product that somebody pays for, makes a lot more sense than critiquing something that's just made out of the love of somebody's heart and given to anybody who should want it. So I can't do traditional reviews of them, but what I can do is perhaps what this video is going to be, which is to kind of do a wrap up of the fanfiction that I read that month. If you didn't know, I mostly read Stranger Things fanfiction, specifically Steddie or Steve Harrington and Eddie Munson fanfics. There's a Lil Eddie and a Dustin down here, and I think there's another Eddie somewhere up there. But yeah, there's my guys. Those are the majority of the fics that I read. I do on occasion read fics outside of that, but for the most part, like 99% of what's going to be in those trackers and the fics that I'm talking about are going to be Steddie related. I'm going to break the mold this time, though, when I talk about one of the fics that I'm going to recommend, and I'll get to that later. Now, hold on, let me do a quick fancy transition. Hi, I'm in the corner now. This past month, have been using this lovely tracker. It is an edited Google Sheets tracker that I purchased from Tracker Pro on Etsy. The original thing is a reading tracker. It's literally called Reading Tracker, Ultimate Book Tracker Template. Track your reading log, book journal, Google Sheets, and Excel spreadsheet. Classic SEO title of a thing. I did obviously edit it. I will link the original down below if you want to use it for your reading. It comes with both like a physical print book version and an audiobook version. The original one has like another thing for like star ratings. I went in and changed a bunch of these little drop downs and stuff to make sense for what I wanted to track, which was my fan fiction. I got rid of the star ratings because, again, I am not going to star rate fan fiction. That just doesn't make sense and doesn't feel right. But because last year I was like, there is an AO3 wrapped program, which kind of tells you how much you've read in fan fiction on AO3, but that didn't count all of the fics that I read on Tumblr or any of the Twitter threads that I read, which is also significant. I felt like it was like kind of only like one part of my reading journey, and I can't add them to things like Storygraph where I could see stats on things there. So I wanted a way to kind of have some sort of statistics on how much I was actually reading. If you can see, in the last month, I've read 168 not full fics because I didn't have a way to track the ongoing fics that I'm reading, because I am one of those rare people who reads ongoing fics. There are people who wait until fic is completely finished so they know that they don't get that, like authors who run out of steam or go into burnout and don't ever finish their fics. They don't have that problem of like, I never get to know what the ending is. I don't really mind because I'll live in these worlds as much as I want. If I never get the ending, that's okay, because there's literally hundreds of other ones that I can pick up and keep reading. While there are some fics that are unfinished that I miss and I wish that I had an ending to, it's alright. I ended up, anytime a chapter was updated, considering it like one holistic piece and entering it in, and you'll see if I scroll down here, like chapter 7 of this fic I read. So it's not 168 completed fics, but 168 holistic pieces. Some of those might be a chapter, some of them might be a Twitter thread, some of them might be microfics on Tumblr. But in any case, 168 different items, which was about 768,783 words. So the equivalent of about 10 novels, if we're going with like novels on the shorter end of the spectrum. These are some of the top tropes that were in there. I wanted like some way to differentiate them. They're not like genres, but they're tropes. The biggest chunk of that was slice of life. This makes sense because a lot of those like Tumblr fics and a lot of Twitter threads are just going to be like one little moment. It doesn't have to do with any of these other things. It's just a moment in their lives, whether it's different AUs or what have you. Slice of life kind of encompasses a lot of things. There were also a lot of holiday romances, which makes sense because it's January, so I was reading a bunch of Christmas fics, New Year's fics, and towards the end here there have been some Valentine's Day fics coming out as well. Outside of that, single dad AU, we love them, and Steddie dads, love the boys as dads. Rockstar Eddie, also popular. BDSM AU, don't worry about it. That's a thing that I just really enjoy. We'll just kind of ignore this one over here. Common themes of getting together and by awakening, or gay awakening, that happens. There's been a good amount of time travel recently, which has been cool. But it was interesting to see, and it will, I think, also be interesting to see how these percentages change as I read throughout the year, because I'm sure different trends will pop up, as had happened in the past couple of years, where there was like different themes where a bunch of people were playing on. I know recently I've seen a bunch of like frat boy Steve, like college AUs popping up again. So that's interesting, but you can see they're all here. They're not necessarily by time, but I've been tracking them. There's a lot of them, but here is all of this. So yeah, so far that's what my tracker looks like. I can go back to my face now. Hi. Okay, let's get to sort of my highlights for the month, which I think is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to talk about a couple of the fics that I really enjoyed, both on AO3 and on Tumblr. And if you are interested, I will link them all down below so that you can go and read them and support the authors as well. Let me start this out by talking about a fic that is not Stranger Things related. If you have been watching the channel for a little while, and you managed to catch the reading roundtable that we did over the summer with my friend Des. She finished the fic that she has been writing for the last 2 years. Des writes a Five Nights at Freddy's fanfiction that is Fronnie, or Freddie and Bonnie. Her world are human AUs, so they're not robots. They're humans. It is a second chance romance, and it is definitely something that is going to make you cry or tear up. I have been following it for years. Obviously, I'm now friends with Des because of the fic. I was following it, I think, like a couple of, like 2 weeks into her starting writing the fic. So been a while now, but it's finally finished. It is called All the Things He Said. I will link that down below. It is a labor of love for her. She has been doing some spin-off stuff where she does some things. The original fic is from Bonnie's perspective, but she's done some of the chapters from Freddie's perspective. She's done some before this original story pieces, like you'll see bits and pieces of their original relationship before the first breakup. And she is currently writing a fic following Sun and Monty, which are a couple of characters in the story. They have their own romance going on the side that's sort of parallel to All the Things He Said that is currently being written. Obviously, because I have been reading this fic for 2 years, it's one that I super love, and she's my friend, so I wanted to shout it out. But I would highly recommend it if you are a fan of a lot of angst, some good sexy times. It is an explicit fic. If you're a fan of rock stars, if you're a fan of single dads, that's in there too. If you are a fan of anxiety representation and PTSD representation, those are things in there. There are trigger warnings on specific scenes, so I would recommend reading the author's notes. But yeah, one that I've loved and would recommend to anybody. Even if you don't care about Five Nights at Freddy's, I think that this story kind of stands on its own, and I know that she is thinking of possibly reworking it to publish it as well. So if you want to hang around and wait for that, you might be able to get a version that is not themed to a franchise. I'm not sure. We'll see. The other long-form fic that finished this month is A Mess of Holy Things by Ghost to the Party. I may have recommended a previous Ghost to the Party fic, I think on one of the reading roundtables that we did last year. I'm a fan of their work. I follow them as an author, so every fic that they come out, I look at. I don't necessarily read all of them, but I get a notification when they post something new. This one is Steddie. It is religious trauma based. So it's a college AU where Steve was raised very conservatively Christian. This is his first time coming out of his parents' sort of purview and going to college, being on his own. There is a lot of wrestling with himself and his feelings towards religion, his feelings towards God, his feelings towards his parents, how he was treated. He ends up running into Eddie, and they end up becoming friends. Eddie was raised in a similar environment, but has been out of the control of his parents for much longer, and he's sort of gone all the way to the other side of the satanic Eddie type thing, where he's like, I'm going to do everything the opposite of what my parents said because I think that it's wrong. So he is kind of helping Steve in that way, but there isn't a corruption element that you might presume in that sort of thing. The final chapter, which I think just came out yesterday, includes Eddie going off on Steve's parents after Steve is able to sort of speak his truth and break off the relationship with them. Which is always nice to see in a fic where Steve has abusive parents, or at the very least neglectful parents. It's always nice to see them getting their comeuppance in a way. Lots of love in this one, beautifully written. If you understand a lot of the religious imagery that is in there, there is a lot of allegory and imagery in this one. It's just very well written. So if you like fics based on religious trauma, a little bit of I think what I would consider Steve Wump, which is pain, Steve emotional pain. He's one of our favorite. This guy can fit so much trauma type things. It's definitely a fic to check out, and it is completed, so now you can read the whole thing all at once. The two Tumblr fics that I wanted to recommend are not completed. They've been coming out in parts or installments. The first one is called Who Did This to You by Flower Crown Gods. This is a pre-season 4, post-season 3 Steve Wump again. In this one, Eddie comes across Steve after Steve has been beat to shit by Tommy. Steve is kind of incoherent, definitely has another head trauma going on. He's panicking because the last time he had a head trauma, which I think was post season 3, he was told that if he has another head trauma, he could die or go deaf or go blind. So he's panicking and also incoherent because of more head trauma. So Eddie doesn't really know everything that's going on. He gets a little bit of the story, but he takes Steve home because when he doesn't know what to do, he goes to his Uncle Wayne. This one has had a couple of chapters come out this month that I have been reading as they come out. I'm enjoying it. Again, so much trauma fits inside of that boy. It's Eddie's POV. You get to see Eddie sort of coming to terms with King Steve being not what he thought he was before interacting with the kids, really, I think. And we get flustered Eddie doing the right thing and finding an adult. Getting an adultier adult to help in a situation when he doesn't know what to do. The other Tumblr fic has been named Glitter and Crimson by Starkid Munson. That one is a hockey player Steve, rockstar Eddie, modern AU, where TikTok is involved, where the Corroded Coffin Boys posted TikTok of Eddie seeing a picture of Steve and him making a joke about him looking like one of the Jonas Brothers, and them saying, no, he came from Hawkins, you know him, and Eddie being like, no, and that hot comes from Hawkins. And then Steve responding to the TikTok I think it was Max who posted the TikTok response of something along the lines of Eddie being hot as well. This ends up into them sort of going back and forth and flirting online, where Eddie says, if you come to our concert, we'll go to your home team hockey game. And obviously they hang out outside of those situations as well, and a relationship starts to form. It's cute. I don't believe there's upside down stuff. I think there's like a no upside down AU in this one, and it's modern, obviously, because they have phones and TikTok and things like that. But very cute. No angst in that one, except for maybe some mild, like, oh no, did I accidentally come out as bisexual online? I didn't mean to do that. Eddie is very out, but I don't think Steve is in this one. And he's in sports, which could be dangerous for him. The hockey player AUs, there's been a couple of them that I've seen, and that's interesting. I don't know if it's because of the popularity of, like, hockey romance in general also being a thing. I know, like, I think it's called Icebreaker is really popular right now, at least at the bookstore. So yeah, it might be that for that reason that we're seeing that fic as well. But I've been really enjoying it. So those were 2 of the AO3 longform fics that I really enjoyed this month, and 2 shorter Tumblr chapter by chapter fics that I'm reading as well. I hope there was something in there that you found interesting, and maybe there's something that you want to go read. I'll do this again next month at the end of the month and talk about sort of maybe how my stats have changed, and mostly just see how much I'm reading outside of, like, the physical books that I'm reading as well. But my next video is actual book content, so if you don't care about this fanfiction content, I'm going to try and keep it to, like, once a month. We shall see. I hope you guys are having a lovely week and lovely lives, and I will talk to you again soon.